As you can see here, this is a quality indicator sheet. And really what it is, this is part of the process as we're going through the process early on and talking about what is this recipe going to look like. Really being able to build a picture for your staff at the end when the process is done. What does it look like? What does it smell like? What does it taste like? To make sure that they know what success looks like. This is a group activity that you will do. This is something that you will involve their feedback. You'll talk to them and to really have detailed guidelines so there's no assumptions. So we're going to talk again about the roasted chicken taco salad. Roasted chicken taco salad was an item that we have that has a lot of different things to it. It has a certain taste profile, different ways to see if it looks like it's done, proper portion sizing, food costs, all of those type of things are things that we want to include in this. And so as you see here, the first things that we have on here is the appearance. What does it look like? And with this, when we've done it different times, there was times when it was being made and they were mixing everything together, including the cheese and those type of things, and then doing it. This recipe really went through a bunch of different things of how are we serving it. Are we serving it with the mixture on the side with tortillas and letting students put it together? Are we putting the cheese on top? Are we mixing the cheese in? All these things were being done differently on each iteration that was being made. So we really had to go through and have a discussion on what we thought looked best. And just the reality, there was a question about crisp vegetables in this. I thought, in my opinion, that the crisp vegetables made it. I liked that they were crisp. Part of our kitchen staff were like, no, they shouldn't be crisp. They should be fully cooked. And so it was that preference that we went back and forth. And our end answer was to get student feedback on that because my feedback doesn't really matter. But the important thing, I think, in quality indicators is that we have an answer. You have an answer. Even if Cook Susie thinks it should be a soft vegetable, your standard is, nope, it's supposed to be a crisp vegetable. This is how it's supposed to look. We want the tortillas to be soft and not crunchy. And then if you hold it too long, it might be mushy. So having those indicators. Flavorings and seasonings. Can you taste, the cumin and the chili powder and the garlic? So can you taste those? Can you smell the fresh peppers? And then also some food safety information of how does it plate? What are you doing? What are you making it look like when you're putting it together? And this is really a process that you go through and have to take a look at to have a good idea of where you want to go with this recipe and what you want to look like. And this does take some time. Now, I want to share with you a group activity that you can do. And this is something you can do with your cooks or you're working with other people. And we did this at one of our breakout sessions. What we did is we gave them all a recipe. And I can show you right here, this is the recipe that we gave them. Now, doesn't that look like a real recipe? It's scratched on the top. It says middle school and high school. There's a bunch of side notes on it. Alyssa was kind enough to step on it for us. And I love this because this is real world. I'm sorry, but this is what recipes look like in our world. And so we gave this to our participants, and it had a note on it, and it said, you know what, we're short-staffed today. We've done all of these things, but you need to make one turkey club. And this is the recipe we gave them. And we set them out, each with a station. And so we had 8 to 10 people doing it. Each person had their own station with different things. And honestly, we threw things in there that weren't on the recipe. And so as you can see, some of the examples here of what we came out with, and of the 8 participants, none of them did it the same. Some of them added cheese, and we asked, well, why'd you add cheese? And they go, well, I like cheese on my turkey club. But that's not listed as part of the recipe. And what this really was for us is just such a great example of, one, how hard it is to do this. Getting people to follow directions and follow a recipe isn't simple. It isn't easy. And just how many variations that you will get. And you can see as our follow-up, it's Alyssa. She's showing exactly how it should have been built and what it should have been looked on plating and following that up and just really helping people understand what needs to be done to make this recipe go. And this was really, I think it's a great example if you have time to do it. to allow people to realize what the challenges are. So we've gone through the quality indicators and we know what our end product looks like. The last thing I want to talk about is the recipe cover sheet. The recipe cover sheet should go with the standardized recipe, but the recipe cover sheet should be site specific. We want to go through and we want to determine for each site what's the cooking equipment they have. You know, if we need to have half cup measures or we need a scale, does that site have a scale? The recipe cover sheet has what the equipment needs are on it, specifically to that building. It talks about the plating. You might have one school that has real trays, and so they're going to put that item on a real tray. You might have another school that everything is pre-plated and put in boats. You have to have that specific for that site, and you have to think those things through, because I think a lot of times we get it to work in one site and we don't think, oh wait, my elementary is not equipped like my high school is, so we need to do that differently. And as you can see, the recipe cover sheet also has all the standards that we figured out in the quality indicator sheet, so they can see that and they know what they need to look at.